Guys, I am excited to be here today. Thank you, Mark, for inviting me. We've got some really cool things going on campus this next month, and I just wanted to let you in and see if you wanted to be a part of it. You saw a couple of videos here. This last one that we just saw, The Secret Handshake, this film is actually being done here in Nashville, and the filmmakers are actually basing their operations here on Lipscomb's campus. And they're actually shooting several scenes here on campus. So you're going to see some film crews running around here doing some pretty fun, crazy things in the month of March. And if you have any interest at all in being a part of that, whether an extra in one of the scenes or maybe even helping this production crew out, shoot me an email, mike.fernandez@lipscomb.edu, and we might be able to plug you in. It's a really fun film. It's going to be a full feature-length film that will have national distribution, and so we're excited to do it. In one of the previous videos, the God Is Not Dead video, Professor Radisson, Kevin Sorbo, is actually the lead in this film, The Secret Handshake. He will be the father in that, so he'll be on campus as well. There will be Kevin Sorbo sightings all through the month of March. Another thing that I wanted to let you in on, this is where you can really get involved, is we have our first ever 5-minute film festival. Over here to the left, you can see this pull-up banner that we've set up. We want you guys to make a 5-minute film. We've got 2 categories. One is narrative fiction, so a made-up story that you come up with on your own. The other is mini documentary. Both of these have to be under 5 minutes, but we want you guys to go make a film and then submit it to us before the deadline, which I believe is April 1, and then we will have a very special panel of judges that will review this. One is Dean Batali. Dean Batali was the executive producer of That 70s Show, if any of you guys ever watched that. Hilarious show, so he's going to be one of our judges on the panel. Show. And here's the really cool thing. The grand prize winner of our film festival gets automatic entry and screening at the Nashville Film Festival. Sweet. So what's cool about that is the 2 categories we've picked, short narrative and mini documentary, these are both categories that can be screened for an Academy Award. And so it's kind of far-fetched to think about, but think about the idea. If you create something that's really good that wins here, it goes to the Nashville Film Festival, and you could possibly be nominated for an Academy Award for your short narrative or your mini documentary. That's pretty exciting. So we would love to have lots of submissions. What we will do is in April 11, 12, and 13, we're going to have 3 nights of screening the top 10. And each night we will have an audience favorite award. And then in the final evening, we will pick our grand prize winner. So we're really excited about this. And it goes in line with the bigger idea of what's going on at Lipscomb right now. We're really launching into, and your administration is supporting, a big effort in what we call film and creative media. And right now we have a master's program where we're training independent entrepreneurial filmmakers to make uplifting and challenging content for digital entertainment. So if you're interested in that at all, come see me, find me, send me an email, or call me. I'd love to know. And so that's it. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time to hear me out.
Yay. Thanks, Mike. All right, good stuff happening on your campus. All right. Turn to your neighbor, top and bottom. Here's the question. Why is the bison red? All right, what's the answer? Why do you think the bison's red today? Turn to your neighbor, find out. Why do you think it's red? Why do you think it's red? You know? You have no idea? All right, who's got an idea? What? Say it so I can hear it. Who? Is it my hearing, or somebody interpret for me? What do they say? Why is it red? Anybody know? Because, okay, here's a red X. Tell us why it's red. All right, this is a big speech right here. The who movement? End it movement. As in what? Slavery. I think, yes, today is a special day related to that. Emphasis on it. Okay. All right, now we know. All right, how many know, how many watched Jimmy Fallon this last week? Come on. Any Jimmy fans? I mean, who wasn't on that show, right? even YouTube. But the Oscars are when? Are you even thinking about that, son? Okay, let's run through the list. All right, I'm going to run through the list. You're going to choose and then tell your neighbor. I'm going to run through it real quick one time. The 9 movies that have been chosen for an Oscar. You can debate it, whatnot. You probably have seen some, maybe others you haven't, but here they are. And then you're going to answer to your friend. This is the movie I think is going to win. Are you ready? Number 1, not in order, but American Hustler, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomenia, 12 Years a Slave, and Wolf of Wall Street. Come on, really? That's the best we can do? Okay, what movie do you think is going to win? All right, tell your neighbor. Tell your neighbor. All right, and we will find that out on Sunday. However, the movie that I think's the best movie I've seen in the last 24 months, and I say that because it might have been 2 years ago I saw it, but we keep pushing it here. It's the movie Unconditional. Have you seen the trailer? It's the one where there's with little kids and a guy that, there's a horse involved, different ones, but it's a true story. That's why I like it. It's a true story about Papa Joe Bradford, who lives here in town, who's been on Lipscomb's campus. And he's doing some really cool things in the areas that he's ministering to, but he's had quite a life to get to that point. And that movie, Unconditional, which is out on Netflix right now, is worth watching. It's got it all. So I just say that as a recommendation. Go watch it if you're looking to download something. All right, get out your phones. It's phone time, polling time. How many were here last week? How many were here last week? Played along, okay? So, William, let's see what we can do with, okay, here's the question. And the way it works, remember you got to text in 22333, and then you put in the message one of those here. So here's the question. What is the secret handshake? Is it the theme for this year's Sing-A-Rama? Is it something you do when you meet someone for the first time? Is it the theatrical movie that is on? So play along. Come on, let's see if this thing works. All right? Key in 2233 into who you send to, and then in the message portion, key in one of those 3 numbers. All right? Come on, who's playing? Here it goes. We know the answer. This is a gimme, okay? It's the last one, but so far, come on, keep going. We want to get some bigger numbers. All right. Okay? It is a theatrical movie, and they are here. You've seen people in Bison Square eating, and they're in Starbucks a lot, so that's where you look. All right, let's go to number 2, because that one's more interesting, I think. And that survey says, question 2, who was last week's I Am Second Chapel speaker? Rudy Kalis, the Lipscomb Mice, Rudy and the Mice. Which was the answer? Survey says the Lipscomb Mice. They were this. You can bet they were. All right. I missed all of it, but I saw it on the DVD last night. All right. There was one guy who put it in a bag and walked out. Who's that guy? Are you here? Is that guy here? Where's the hero? Then there was a girl, I understand, who picked it up by the tail and walked. Is that you? Give her I Am Second jug, baby. All right. That's impressive. That's impressive. Now, I don't know, there was 2 last week. We've released 6 this week. Are we all right with that? Seriously, do you think they live here or they were brought in here? How many think they were brought in? Just all in. It probably was. All right. In fact, the guy who took it out in the bag is probably the guy who brought him in the bag. What do you think? All right. All right, what's the next question? Got a couple more, and then we'll move on. Survey says, all right, ooh, yeah, 15 days, I'm going on spring break. So where are you going? All right, where are you going? Mission trip, the beach, Lipscomb's water park, something else. Boom. All right, keep going. It's loaded up. It's moving back and forth a little bit. Is really spring break in 15 days? Surely you know. Yeah, yes. You start a week from, 2 weeks from tomorrow, right? Yeah? Okay. All right, so something else. What are the something else's? Colorado. Okay, someplace where there's not water. A lot of different mission trips. The beach, you want to stay warm. All right, go to the next one, and we'll do one more. All right, and this one is, I've personally watched how many I'm Second films? Less than 5, between 5 and 10, more than 10. Just curious. Curious about that. How many films have you watched? I mean, in here we've had, this is our 7th chapel, and we've probably watched 4, maybe. So that would be 4. That would be the second one, the first one. Less than 5. How many know how many films there are on the website? This is good for another I Am Second water bottle. Who knows how many films are on there? Who? How many total films are on the I Am Second site? How many know? 100, what? 111? Who said that? You're wrong. 100. Did anybody say 102? Who did? Who said 102? Who? Where's Paul? Who said 102? Oh, just here, take it. Somebody. Okay. All right. All right. So we have people have been watching films. Thank you. All right. William, take that down. Can you pull up that one other little thing that I saw last night on Good Morning America? That was kind of fun, kind of warmed my heart a little bit. I don't know. See if it warms your heart.
Let's let it go. Here they are.
The snow glows white on the mountain tonight.
How many know this song? Yeah. Sing along.
And it looks like I'm the queen.
El viento ruge y hay tormenta en mi interior.
Couldn't keep it in. Heaven knows I tried.
All right, everybody, it's coming. I can feel it.
Don't let them in. Don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. And you don't feel. Don't let them know. Let it go.
Let it go. Everybody.
Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Let it go.
All right, here we go.
Turn away and slam the door.
All right, William, I think we're good. We got the picture. You want more? Aw. All right, so now you know that. All right, I was watching that late. I thought I would throw it up. All right. So, what's the reminder? What is I Am Second? Let's run that. I mean, it's been, some of you maybe not been here before, but a little review of what I Am Second is. Watch this video if you're ready, William. We'll run this one. And it'll give you a good feel for what it is and how it started and where it continues to go.
It begins and ends with the central story of humanity, the single greatest drama ever to unfold, a love story of epic proportions, told through the lens of individual narratives in a simple, intimate film. A white chair, a black room, an honest account of a changed life, God's grace on display with raw authenticity and avant-garde style. Superstar athletes and the beautiful people, war heroes and rock stars, tattoo artists, troubled teens, skaters, misfits and politicians. You and me. Stories from every crack and crevice of society, impressing upon the lost, young believers, and mature Christians alike. Bold advertising creates intrigue, and curiosity leads to a modern cinematic website. 1.5 billion media impressions in the launch market generates nearly 1 million site visitors across North Texas. And then it goes viral. New cities come on board, and the momentum swells. 3, 4, 5, and now nearly 8 million people impacted in over 200 countries worldwide. One story at a time, from a single white chair. The important questions follow. Does God care about me? Why is Jesus first? And how can I become second? Interaction happens, a connection is made, a new journey begins. and then accelerates. Small groups form everywhere, popping up across the city on college campuses and high school gyms and at your local coffee shop. Discussion guides are downloaded, films dissected, and people encouraged to discover their purpose in life through Jesus. Local churches plug in, welcoming new seconds and rallying their congregations to step into the community and declare a simple and profound truth: I am second. God moves and a revolution takes root. They wear it, paint it, Facebook it, and tweet it. It shows up on stages, at festivals, in ballparks, and at the track. And it's boundless. Expeditions are organized and groups planted from London to Nepal and Colombia to Sudan. Lives are transformed in simple obedience, and the movement becomes supercharged as the body of Christ spans oceans and interconnects in every corner of the planet through the infinite power of story. Yours, mine, theirs, and his. Reconciliation occurs. Disciples are made. Spiritual communities are born. And the story is told again and again and again. I am second.
All right. Stories about your story, my story, and ultimately his story, Jesus Christ. So, I don't know how engaged you are in the past or used it, but there's good resources there, not only for you, but maybe for other people in your life. And I know I've watched a lot of these stories, and they've helped me, encouraged me, and in turn, I've pushed them out to friends and family and say, look, maybe this will encourage you. And I challenge you to get on site and watch and see what's there, take advantage of it. Today, Sarah Warren, one of our new students here at Lipscomb, freshman, after the very first chapel of I Am Second, I was having lunch in the Bison Calf, and you came up after me and said, hey, I'm Sarah, can we talk? And that's kind of where our friendship started. And she took the challenge, which was engage people. And I don't know if you've seen Sarah around. She's got a great smile. I know that. And but she's got a story that we've been talking about and sharing. So today's your chance to share your story. So, and we'll have Kelsey and Matt up here to enjoy and give her moral support. Let's hear it for Sarah. Give her a round.
Hey guys, so for all of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Warren and I'm a freshman here. And I just wanted to start off by telling you guys that my story is not done being written. It's still going, and I'm just here to kind of encourage y'all with a little part of my story that I've started to learn something from and I'm still learning from, and just wanted to emphasize that first. Let me start off saying I'm really young. I'm still just 19 years old, and I have a lot to learn, but when I was really young, I had to kind of grow up at a really young age. My mom is a single mom, and so all throughout our childhood, we went through a lot of hardships. And fifth grade year was the year, I was 10 years old, where it became a whole new life for me. That year, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which is a neurological disease of the brain, and it kind of like your brain doesn't tell you to do things. So like for us, it's really easy to put on a pair of pants, but for my mom, it takes like 10-15 minutes because her brain's not telling her legs to move. And she tremors a lot and shakes, and that's just something that she had. So that year, we kind of found out that she was diagnosed with it and kind of found out a lot more. She was really lying to my family about having a job. And so that year, my mom wasn't working the entire year. None of my family knew that. So things were really tight at home for she and I. We didn't really have a lot of money that year. Since she wasn't working, she was just lying to everybody saying, oh yeah, I'm going to work, but I have great hours, so I can be home when Sarah gets home from school, and I can be there in the mornings before she goes to school and whatnot. And so I didn't really know what was going on completely. I just thought she wasn't making a lot of money because she was lying to me too. And so that year, we had gotten probably about 20 eviction notices from the apartment that we were living in, and she was just hiding it from our family. And so eventually by the end of the year, with having utilities shut off and living in a house that didn't have running water at one point, living in a house where there was no food, she eventually had to like open up to my family, and they found out that we were being thrown out or just pretty much locked out of where we lived by the end of the year. And so that was the year I really had to grow up. No one was taking care of me. So it was the point where at the end of the school year I had to move out of there, and my mom did too. So that's when I went to move in with my grandmother, because she was going to take care of me then for the rest of middle school and high school, because my mom physically wasn't able to at that point. So like I said, that was the year that I started taking care of myself. I couldn't rely on anybody else, and so I just kind of did my own thing. And even though my grandma had raised me through middle school and high school, and like honestly, like she was my saving angel, I became very, very independent. I didn't really rely on anybody else. I lived to do everything on my own. I didn't ask for help. I just thought I could do it all myself. And so I had that mentality all through middle school and going into high school. And basically, I just want to tell you guys about a time in high school where I learned that I couldn't do everything on my own, but since I did think I could, I abandoned God completely. I know this is kind of cliche, but the phrase that was always through my mind then was, why do bad things happen to good people? And I know that's really cliche and we say that a lot, but that's what I thought, because I went through a really hard time and I didn't know why it was happening to me. So let me just rewind. So got to high school, and freshman year was great. I played varsity basketball. I was a varsity cheerleader. I was living with my grandma. I went to a private Christian school, had a lot of friends. I was really involved in school. I loved it. And sophomore year rolled around, and it was like the beginning of basketball season, so it was like November going into December. And in December, Christmas Eve, I had like a really bad stomach ache earlier in the morning, and I was like, whatever, it's probably just a stomach ache, I'll be fine. And it kept hurting all day, and it got to be the time like around 7 o'clock at night to go to church, and I physically could not get off the couch. My stomach was in so much pain, and we didn't know what was going on, so my family decided to take me to the hospital that night, and I had just a really mystery pain in my abdomen. They couldn't figure anything out. They sent me home the next morning, so I got home at like 7 a.m. on Christmas morning, and it was not the best Christmas you could say that year. I was in a lot of pain, and so from then on, 2 months, I missed 2 months of school after that. I physically couldn't get out of bed. I was in so much pain every day in my right abdomen, and I didn't know why. The doctors didn't know why. So I started, going to see different kind of specialists, and they couldn't figure anything out. And so I just got really angry then. I was hurting all the time. I couldn't go to school, and I couldn't play basketball. And that was really hard for me because I played varsity, and I loved it, and that was taken away from me. And so 2 months later, I just was like, I guess I have to suck it up, and I went to school. And I really wasn't in the right mindset. I was pretty angry about why was this happening to me? Why didn't anyone find it? I thought, you guys are doctors, like you should know what to do. But they didn't. They couldn't find anything wrong. So I went back to school and just sucked up the pain. It was really hard, but I didn't want to miss school. So I went to school, and then summer came. And I was okay. The pain was still there, but it wasn't as bad. So I just kind of went through the summer, doing what I was doing, and acted like everything was normal, even though it wasn't. And junior year rolled around, and I started junior year, and probably about 2 weeks into junior year, the pain was at a 10 again, and it was so bad, and I was hurting, and I couldn't go back to school. And that was the time where I think I really entered the darkest part of my life. I missed that whole semester, so I missed all the way through to December. I didn't get to go back until January. And at this point, I started going to all these kinds of doctors again. I had procedures, testing, blood work, like everything you can imagine to figure out what was going on. I went to see like massage therapists, counselors, everything, to any kind of outside doctor treatments to see what could happen, and no answers were found. And so I was so angry, and I kept asking myself that question, like, why are you letting bad things happen to me? Like, I'm obedient. I've followed you my whole life. I've grown up in the church. Like, I've gone through crap already with my mom, and like, it just kind of blew up in my face because I really wasn't talking to my mom that much because I was so mad at her with what she had done to me as a little kid, and then not being reliable and not being able to live with her for those many years that I was with my grandma. So that was on top of everything else, and I was so angry at God, and I just pretty much gave up my faith. I was like, well, you're not helping this. You're like, why are you letting this happen to me? That's what I thought. Like, so I was like, well, I guess I have to do everything on my own still. And so I kept that mentality of trying to do it all on my own, and I literally abandoned God. Yeah, I still lived in a Christian home, but I wasn't really listening whenever we prayed. I didn't really care. I didn't really get to go to church because I couldn't get out of bed. So I was like, whatever, like, no church, that's fine. Like, I'm pissed at you anyway. I don't want to talk with you. I don't want to pray to you. I don't want to even think about you. And so I was at home for all those months, going to doctors, beyond doctors. Throughout the whole process, I saw 12 different doctors and specialists. I went through a lot of imaging, lots of CAT scans, ultrasounds, x-rays, and a lot of testings, like a lot of blood work. I went through a colonoscopy. So I went through it all, except for surgery, to find out what was wrong, and they still couldn't find it. And so January rolled around, and I was just really worried that I wasn't going to graduate, because it was hard to try to do work at home if I was getting it from school. And so I worked it out with my school, and I went back to school, but I only took like 3 classes that year. So I would go in late every day, go to my classes, and then I would go home early every day. But I was still at school, and I was still in pain, and I just sucked it up and just had to do it. But I was at a Christian school, and I was really mad. I didn't want to go to my Bible classes. I really just didn't pay attention at all. And I was trying to put a facade on for my friends and act like I was happy even though I was in pain, and act like everything was fine and I was still same old Sarah, but honestly I wasn't. I was just in such a dark place, and so I pretended like everything was fine, but it wasn't, and I was so mad at God, and I couldn't physically want to listen in Bible class or in chapel, and I didn't really care what people said about him. Like, I had this mentality that, like, he was doing this to me, he didn't care, no one cared, and so I could just do it on my own. I didn't need him anymore. So I finished school out that year, and I went away for the summer, and I worked in another state at a very liberal camp, and it was hard because I didn't fit in there right away with some of the people that worked there, and so I just kind of did my own thing. I was just trying to have fun. I was trying to mask all the pain that I was in, and it got better in the summer at times, but like at other times it was really bad, and I just wanted to stay in my bed all day and not go to work. But at this point I was still so mad at my mom for everything that she's done and just never really being there for me, and then I was still really mad at God, and I just didn't really have a faith, and so I got into things I shouldn't have. I got into going to parties and drinking, and I thought it was fun, and everyone was doing it, so I could do it too, because I didn't really care what people thought of me. I didn't care what God thought of me. I thought it was the normal thing to do, and so I just had a summer of fun for myself, and looking back on it now, that wasn't the best idea, but I did it because I thought it was what I should do, and I was so mad at God. I was trying to get back at him for something, but really I wasn't. I was just being disobedient now that I realize it. So senior year came around, and I went to school, and I was able to go to school that whole year. So thankfully, maybe I missed a week or two if it was really bad, but I was consistently there throughout the year, and that was awesome. But I had a very unusual senior year. I was taking like 8 classes so I could finish to graduate on time, and from then on, from sophomore year on, I wasn't allowed to ever play basketball again. But at that point, I was like, whatever, like, I can't play basketball, whatever, like, thanks a lot, that's another thing you took away from me. So I started that year off still like, I gotta do everything on my own, I don't care about God, like, I'm done with you. And so slowly throughout the year, I had been a part of a Bible study kind of all throughout high school, but kind of blocked myself out of it for a few years, even though I went to it. But one of my leaders decided just to sit down with me periodically every few weeks and just talk. And sometimes she wouldn't even open the Bible. She would just listen to me and let me talk and cry, or she would just talk about things that she's gone through. And like now that I look at it, she was encouraging me and like really bringing me back to Christ. And so we kept meeting consistently throughout senior year. And it was because of her and my efforts and my grandma, who was so worried about me and literally did everything she could for me to kind of bring me back to where I had been before and bring me back to Christ. And so it was probably second semester senior year where I came back to my faith slowly and started understanding that like sometimes we don't have control over everything that happens in our life. And I thought I did, but I didn't. And so I started to learn that like I can't do everything on my own, and I need help. And even though the doctors can't find it, like I don't have a terminally ill disease. I haven't died from it. Like I'm okay. Like I'm in pain, sure, but that can be handled, that can be managed. And so slowly I started to come to terms with that. And that was when I officially kind of came back to Christ, was in my senior year. And looking back on it now today, I'm still in pain. It's not as bad, but I still have it every day, and we still don't know what's wrong. But I'm kind of at the point where it's okay, because like I said, I'm fine, and I don't know what I'm going to use it for. Maybe someday I'll be able to talk to women that have pain problems. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I know that it was part of my life for a reason, and I learned a lot through it. Even though I left the faith, like, I saw how big God is, and that I really do need him in my life. And so something that I adopted my senior year, and I want to encourage you guys with, is kind of pick like a life verse for yourself. And this was kind of through my Bible study leader. She kind of helped me do this, and I picked the verse Philippians 4:13, which says, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength," or "through him who gives me strength." There's two translations. And honestly, like, I literally, now seeing it, I would not have been able to survive that pain and survive all the heartache I had from my mom if I didn't have Christ in my life, or if he wasn't strengthening me, even though I was even though I was turned away from him. Like, he was still with me throughout all that, because I don't know how I'd still be here if he wasn't. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like, to kind of pick a verse that's kind of like your foundation. That's what I go to a lot when things happen that I'm just struggling with, or I can't deal with, or I'm stressed, or I'm like, why is this happening? I have to take a step back and not question God and just learn from it. And so just wanted to encourage you with that. And something that, like, through all this that God made known to me was that through my abandonment, I figured out that I can't live without him, I can't function on my own, and I need him. So I'm Sarah Warren, and I'm second.
Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? I mean, that's a question we often ask, and if you're not asking, the people around you are, especially as it relates to spiritual stuff. And I believe we're all, I don't know if you believe this, but we're all spiritual people. Not sure where you believe spiritually. I mean, I think it's clear what Lipscomb and this university is about in our commitment to Jesus Christ. You saw it on some of the trailers, even some of the movies being played out. But this world's broken, and it was never designed that way. So here's the quick answer that I've put my arms around. Is the reason the world bad things happen in this world is because the world's broken. It was never designed that way by God, our Creator. But when Adam and Eve did their deal, and the sin that came in, it broke our world. And so God said, all right, if that's how it's going to be, it's not how I designed it, I'm going to do everything I can to redeem it. And it led ultimately to his son Jesus coming to the earth, dying on the cross for our sins, but to redeem. So everything about Scripture that we've been reading or we've been studying or hear about in the Bible is about redeeming man back to God. So it is a broken world. There's going to be junk. You know, can I say why? Sarah, you had to grow up really fast at age 10, when most of us probably didn't have that. Maybe some of us did. You know, there's things happen because of what? The decisions that others make, the decisions that are circumstances that just happen in this broken world, and then the decisions we make. And here's the story you're saying. God wants to take whatever the hurt, your greatest hurt or greatest fear, greatest memory, the worst thing about you, he wants to make that and heal it and become your story to help heal others and not waste any story. That's kind of the thing I hear out of that. So what do you hear? We got a time for a question between each one of you, and then we're going to do a couple of things, and then we'll end. So what's the question? Here's the question to answer. What did you see about God in Sarah's story? What did you see about God through Sarah's story? All right? Top, bottom, turn around, share with your friend. What is it that you saw about God and how he responded to Sarah's story? Okay? Take a few minutes and do that. One shot. I'll tell you what. What did you guys get? What did you see? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. True. All right? What did you see in on Sarah's story about God? You know, that he's always there. That's what I heard here in the front row. That even in times God's there, even though I push back. And I don't know where you are. If I had to show of hands, say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you inviting God into your life day to day? Or how much are you pushing him back? It would be a poll that would be all over the map. The good news is, and I'll just say this, earlier this week, I went through some stuff where I was pushing back, you know, and just some of the stuff going on in some of my relationship, I just pushing back. But because the reason I was pushing back, because God was telling me something I need to deal with that I don't want to deal with. And that's why I was pushing back. So God has a way, his Spirit, to make Mark better, to make you better, to bring it to our mind and challenge us to do something with it. All right. I've got one more announcement, and then we'll have a closing prayer, and then we'll head out here. But the other thing that's going on today is not only the Red Bison because of In Slavery Day, but, Matt, remind us what's going on today.
Yeah, this is on. Okay, so also we have Tuition Freedom Day is going on today. Y'all might have received an email from me this week talking about Tuition Freedom Day. Basically, donors are helping pay for your tuition. Tuition is pretty simple. So there are cards over in the Student Center right when you walk in. Write 2 or 3 sentences down on a card thanking a donor, and you get a T-shirt. I think we still have donuts left over there, candy, free cups, all that kind of stuff. Music's going to be playing. So just stop by there, and that's all I have.
All right. This is Tuition Freedom Day, which means today being February 27th. Does it clearly mean that today is a day?
Today's the day when tuition that you guys pay for runs out. So that's 78% of the school year, and then the other 22% is covered by donors. So like in that email, it said like $7,000 is covered for each of y'all's tuition. So that's what we're thanking them for.
That's significant, and I'm part of that team that goes out and asks donors to help give money to help you guys be able to come to school and pay different ones. But on average, 78%, you're paying about 78% of the tuition. And then the rest, from this point forward till school gets out, you're on somebody else's dime on an average. So here's an opportunity to say thank you. I know for me out in the front lines, asking people, it'd go a long way for you to sign things as well. All right, stand with me and we'll have a closing prayer and then we'll go. Thank you, Matt and Kelsey, for sharing your stories in the past. And now today, Sarah, sharing yours. All right. Pray with me. Father, thank you for today, this day and all that's in it. And there's some stuff in this day that I'm really enjoying. And there's some stuff this morning, probably even this afternoon, that I won't like so much. But I'm convinced of this. It's your day carved out for me. It's your day carved out for each one of us here and whatever we have been given. So we accept it and we step into it and say, Lord, walk with us. And the stuff that we're dealing with, I pray that we won't hide it. We'll reach out and seek out a friend, seek you out, read scripture, prayer, all those things, Lord, that you've called us to do to get healing and continue to move on. We all got our stuff. The question is how we will deal with it. And you've called us to deal with it openly and to deal with it through a biblical way that says, hey, I want to heal you. And help us to be honest with ourselves. Thank you for Sarah's honesty and the story you've carved out for her. It wasn't what she chose, and there's stuff in it that she had no control over, but she found herself. But you made her to be someone who is an overcomer, who kept plowing forward. Now, with that, she knows that she has this tendency to kind of, I can do it. But, she's inviting you in. And I pray we'll do the same, that we'll take and invite you into our lives and not say, hey, I can do this all alone. That's what we want. Help us with that. Thanks for people showing up and the energy and just participating. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, thanks, folks.
So you're not